Noah, it's 2008.
Wait, hold on. We're jumping right into it.
Yeah, that's it.
No preparation.
No, nothing.
I thought we were going to start with some push-ups or something.
Just like your real estate career. It's 2008. You're about to join Coldwell Banker. From my understanding, you're going in with a plan, right? Prior planning prevents poor performance. What is going through your head 30 days before, or 2 weeks even, before you join Coldwell Banker?
Oh, you want me to go through the whole story?
Yeah.
So I decided on a Friday night that I wanted to get my real estate license. I went online, I found some real estate courses, found one that started on Monday.
Okay.
And it was an 8-day intensive course, 8 days in a row, or 7 days in a row for like 8.5 hours a day, or something like that, whatever the math was. It was 7 or 8 days straight. I don't even think they offer that anymore.
Wow.
So Friday night I decided, Friday night I signed up, Monday morning I started my real estate classes. And I, took the classes 7.5 hours a day. I remember being at Barnes & Noble studying every day after my class to just memorize the stuff because I didn't want to fail. I remember interviewing with different companies, and I was impressed with, at that time, Coldwell Banker, with what they had to offer with their training and all that type of stuff. And I remember going into that interview with Coldwell Banker when I was getting my license, and I didn't know any better. I came in with a PowerPoint presentation, and I laid out my 5-year plan of what I wanted to do in year 1 and 2 and 3, and when I wanted to start a team. I came in with my lead generation plan of what I was going to do to generate business, how I was going to do open houses, who my target clients were going to be. And I remember they were looking at me like who is this guy? Like, they pretty much, they would have hired anybody, I think. And so I think they were like, who is this guy coming in with a PowerPoint presentation to get hired for as a real estate agent?
Now, when you were in Penn State, you went for marketing international business. Do you think that many years later, you'd be with a PowerPoint going into a real estate company as a realtor? Did that ever cross your mind? Maybe this was many years in the making.
I don't think that was on my mind when I was in college. I think in college I was just trying to figure out how to get good grades and have a good time while I was doing it.
Wow. And you did do that. You did graduate with high honors. So now it's the first 30 days of the business, in your real estate business. Mm-hmm. What is the first thing on your mind, and how are you executing it? Because you were very successful coming into the business.
So it started before the first 30 days. It started the day I got passed my real estate test. I had all my paperwork signed. And typically people just turn they mail their paperwork in and they wait, 4, 5, 6 weeks for Harrisburg, to mail the stuff back. Well, I didn't want to wait 4 or 5, 6 weeks. I wanted to get my license then. So I drove 3 hours or 2.5 hours to Harrisburg with my paperwork directly from passing my real estate test to go get my license. So I drove 2.5 hours, got my license, got all the paperwork, and on my way back, my 2.5 hour ride back, I started making phone calls to people. Hey, I'm in real estate business. You know anybody looking to buy or sell a house? And I really just started off right away, right from the beginning.
So you passed the test. You're driving to Harrisburg. You're not waiting for the feedback to if you got it or not, and you're already making phone calls.
Oh no, I knew I got it. So you passed the test,
yeah.
And once you pass the test, you have to mail it into Harrisburg to get your physical license.
But you can drive.
I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait 6 weeks to get it. So I just drove there and got it the same day. Was
it a mentor or other experiences or just an intuition? What made you do that?
I think a lot of my life is about resourcefulness and being resourceful, figuring out how to get from point A to point B. That was kind of a theme of my life. And for me, it was, all right, I'm ready to get my real estate license. So rather than waiting to get it, let's just get it. And once I got it, I didn't want to have to wait to start doing anything. I'm like, what's the quickest way for me to start doing this? I'm ready. I'm pumped. I'm motivated and ready to go. Let's just do this now.
So I
just figured it out. Like, is there another way besides mailing it in and waiting for in a stack of paperwork to get it quicker? So I started making some calls. How do I do this? What's the quickest way? Well, I said, you can come up here and drive up here and get it that way. Great. I'll be there in a few hours.
So you didn't know if you could or not. You asked the questions to find out that information, and they said yes. You drove up there.
Yeah, being resourceful is about not necessarily knowing the answers to all the questions, but knowing how to get them and knowing the people to ask to get the answers that you seek and the answers that you're looking for. So I just, I knew that there was a better way, and I just kept asking until I figured out what the better way was, until I got an answer I was satisfied with. And I knew there was a way, I just didn't know what the way was.
Were you afraid on those first calls on the way back from Harrisburg, or was that already something you had overcome or never? I remember hiding in the bathroom when I had to make calls at one point.
I don't know if being afraid was the right word for it. Maybe I was. I don't remember, but it wasn't. I didn't really have a choice. You know, I went from a job where I had a salary making good money to a commission sales job making nothing. So I didn't have a choice. It wasn't. It was, you know, you had to succeed. I had at that time, you know, young kids, and you know, we had to do what we had to do to make money. It wasn't a matter of being afraid or not. Fear couldn't stand in the way of what I had to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Resourcefulness.
Yes.
You're in the car driving literally back from Harrisburg. You just got the license, and you're calling who? Friends, family. Who are we calling to start a real estate career?
Yes, all those people, friends, family, people that I know, anybody that I thought would take my call and let them know that I was in the business.
What was like was it a script in a sense? Like you had an idea of what you were saying, or?
No, I didn't have a script. The
Okay.
script was in my head. So the framework, so what I learned about scripts over the years is better to understand the framework of what you want to say. Again, how to get from point A, start with the end in mind, right? We always talk about starting with the end in mind. So the end in mind was getting somebody on the phone, finding out if they had any houses they needed to buy or sell, or knew anybody that needed to buy or sell. The in-between part was sort of figured it out as you go. So I, you know, pretty much picked up the phone. Hey, it's Noah. Just wanted to let you know, just got my real estate license. I'm in real estate. I'm actually on my way back right now for picking up my license. And I thought of you first because, hey, I wanted to know if you had any houses that you needed to sell or buy, or anybody that you know. Or I forget the exact script, but I just jump. I didn't sit there and worry about how to do it because, you know, in my life, the things I always say was imperfect action beats a perfect plan every time. So I always like to take action first. Wow. And rather than sitting there and like trying to like figure out every little detail. Not that I don't plan stuff out, but all my experiences in my life have sort of helped me put together the plan of how to be impulsive, if you will.
Like in a productive way.
In a productive way, right? All my life experiences, it may seem on the surface that I'm very impulsive, but it's not really impulsive. It's just I'm able to make educated decisions very quickly because of all the experiences I've had in my life.
So, okay, so you finished college, which is up here in Pennsylvania, and you decide to go to Palm Beach. That's fairly far away. I mean, I don't know how much you traveled in your life. Was that a productive, impulsive decision in a sense?
The story behind that was not a straight line. It was my wife is fluent in Spanish. She wanted to get a job where she could use her Spanish. So we decided that we were going to move to Miami where she could be around more Spanish-speaking people. I was working in real estate, or I wanted to get a job in real estate because real estate was the hot industry back when I graduated college. So I researched companies. I found a company, Toll Brothers, that had positions all over the country. So I applied for one in Florida while she was looking for a job in Miami, while we were looking for places in Miami. They decided that they were going to hire me at a project either in Boca Raton or Palm Beach Gardens. I decided to go with the one in Palm Beach Gardens.
Wow.
And we never moved to Miami, and she never had to really use her Spanish. So that's kind of, not that she didn't use her Spanish. She did use her Spanish, but not, we were originally wanting to go to Miami specifically for that purpose. So we never ended up in Miami. We ended up an hour and a half from Miami.
Wow.
So we got to Florida in sort of a roundabout way.
So that's around 2004, 2005. Like the real estate market's crazy.
Yeah.
What are two of the biggest lessons that you learned in that experience? Because that was like
what
more
goes up
corporate.
Can come down. What goes up can always come down. Back in 2004, when I started off on this project, prices on that project that I was working on were $600,000. And every time we took one or two deposits, we'd raise the price and raise the price. In the 2 years I was there, those prices went from $600,000 to like $1.3 million for the same exact house. And even the houses that I was living in went like this, and very quickly went right back down. So what goes up, must come down.
Any other specific lesson?
You know, I learned a lot of lessons. You know, everything I do in life, I learned a lot of lessons. I learned, you know.
So the lesson is to learn lessons.
The lesson is to learn. The lesson is if you're not learning, then you're not having enough conversations. You're not engaging with the right people.
Do you think that thought process of thinking, in a sense, beginning with the end in mind, helped you continue to navigate into real estate even after the bubble? Because things kind of burst like crazy when you got your real estate license. Isn't that true? Like the market was going down.
I sort of got out of Florida coincidentally right before the market started to go down, only because my wife was pregnant. We decided we wanted to move back to Philadelphia. Once we started
around 2006?
2006 was when we came back, yes.
Were you doing that type of work? Because you were property management or running?
No, I came back for a different opportunity, non-real estate related, that I did for a couple years. That, you know, was just, again, I understand where gaps are in business and markets, whatever it might be. And I recognize an opportunity, and, you know, I figured out how to capitalize on the opportunity that was in front of me. So I did that for a couple of years, and then decided to get out of that and get back into real estate.
So it's a Friday night. You're going to get the right real estate license. Mm-hmm. You get it. You pass the test. You're already making calls. Had you already set up that interview then? You had already done the PowerPoint and I guess concreted your opportunity with Coldwell Banker.
The funny story that I always tell, now Mike McCann, he's in our office, and the funny story I always tell about him, and I wish I could find the proof of this story, but when I first got into real estate, this was 2008 was when I started in real estate in Philadelphia. Yeah. And just like it is now, Mike McCann's signs are everywhere.
Real estate man.
I said, all right, well, he's the guy that you got to be with, because he's got all the listings. He controls the market. So I called him up. I emailed him. I said, hey, Mike, I'm brand new in the business. I want to join your team. And he said, thanks, but we're not taking any new agents at this time. And I joke with him about that now. I said, what could it have been like if we were together? Yeah, all these years.
Well, like from an outsider looking in, I'm thinking, okay, you are new to an industry in that capacity, or maybe that context of the industry, real estate sales. And the first person you reach out to, or one of the first people that you reach out to, is the number one at it. Yep. A lot of people wouldn't do that.
Well, I want to, exactly, yeah. I do the things that nobody wants to do. So kind of going back to my original I'll get back to this in a second, but getting in my original back into real estate. When I first worked for Toll Brothers, I was 23 years old, 22 years old at the time when I started with them. Big company, 25,000 people. I was working at the corporate headquarters in Pennsylvania at the time when I started. And probably, just like every other big company, I get an email or a letter from the CEO of the company, Bob Toll. Welcome to the company. We're so happy to have you here. My door's open anytime you want to meet. Probably I imagine it's a standard form letter that HR department sends out to every new person. Probably not from him. So I'm here anytime. So I said, great. Bob Toll says that his door's open and I can meet with him anytime. So I quickly emailed him and said, hey, thanks for welcoming me to the company. I would love to take you up on your offer to chat with you. So he was graciously accepted, just like pretty much anybody that I've ever asked successful people to meet with me. They're always willing and they're always willing to meet with me just by asking, right? So he said, yeah, great. Come down to my office at 3:00. I'm happy to meet with you. And I'll never forget this, because I think I still use this move today. He had a big office, and he saw me coming. And first thing, he quickly gets out from behind his desk, and he walks and meets me at the door. And because he didn't want me to get settled in too much and sit down and have like a long conversation, I presume that's the reason. So he met me at the door. We had a quick conversation at the door. Welcome to the company. So happy to have you here. Blah blah blah. Wish you the best of success. Go on your way, right?
Wow.
So like that was a good lesson, right? Like he said, like don't let people settle too much into your office.
Like in a sense, unconsciously, you felt like he respected his time a certain amount.
I didn't think anything of it at the time, but now thinking back on it now, like he didn't sit behind his desk, wait for me to come to his office, sit in the chair and have a long drawn out conversation. He knew he wanted to say hi to me, meet and greet, and send me on my way. And it wasn't anything disrespectful, but he valued his time, and he wanted to control his schedule. So that's what he did.
Now, I'm curious, because anytime we've ever met for any type of meeting, time is always something you've been really, a couple of years ago, the first time we met, it was one of the only meetings that it was like exactly at the time, like the 1 hour, it almost like an alarm went off in your head that 1 hour was done. And I recognize that. Yeah. Was that like from that meeting potentially, like, or
You know, all the decisions that I make that might seem impulsive are probably from all my life experiences. So that's probably just one of them. I've always been very scheduled, always been very regimented. Even like growing up and in high school, I always went to bed at the same time. I always woke up at the same time. I even left for school exactly at the same minute every single day, which became tougher as I used to have to drive my brother to school. And if he's watching, no offense, but he wasn't as scheduled as I was. And I remember many times that I would leave for school and not take him because he wasn't ready. And my mom was not too happy about that because she ended up having to take him. But I stuck to my schedule and I had to do what I had to do. And I still do that to this day. And it frustrates me a little bit when people don't show up on time or when things get pushed because it messes up the whole day for me.
Wow. Now, you went to Cheltenham. Did you think that you were going to study marketing when you were in high school? Would you consider yourself like a studious person in high school?
Yeah, I got good grades in high school, A's and B's in high school. I was always a kind of a promoter at heart. Started DJing when I was 12 years old. 12 years old, I started DJing. So the story behind that was my friend and still partner, Jake, at the time, we were.
What was his DJ name?
He was DJ JD, and I was DJ Oh No.
JD.
DJ
like
JD,
that.
yeah. That could be your DJ.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So we were in sixth grade.
Sixth grade.
And we were 12 years old. Sixth. Yeah, I think sixth.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we had gotten asked to DJ the cast party for the theater performance for the fifth and sixth graders. So we and there was another friend of ours as well. So there's three of us. So we're like, yeah, sure, we'll do it. So we went to Radio Shack and got this little mixer, and we had two Walkman. You remember? You probably don't remember.
Right.
Discmen.
Yeah, I Wikipedia'd that before I came.
Yeah. Discmen. So back, there was like a little portable CD player that you used to carry around. We had two of those things set up here, and we had CDs going, and we rented speakers and we played music, and and people were dancing. We're like, this is awesome. This is fun. Like, it was nice making people feel good.
Was that the first time that you had ever done that?
Yeah, I never did that before.
When I was 12, I was so shy. I don't think I would have gone to the dance. Yeah. Were you was it in a way for you to go and
I don't know what it was. Somebody asked us to do it. I said, this sounds cool. Wow. Let's do it. And we did it, and it was fun. And we played, Boys to Men and Color Me Bad and Vanilla Ice and MC Hammer and all the stuff that we were playing back in, the 90s. And we're like, this is fun. And I said, I want to do this. So that was like a Friday night. It's funny. Okay. Like, now that I'm telling you these stories, like, I follow the same path.
Friday night.
So that was a Friday night we DJ'd. I'm like, this is fun. And I remember going home to my parents that night and say, I want to do this. Like, this is fun. So I got a newspaper, went to the classified section, and there was like 10 different DJ companies advertising their services. And some of the big companies back then were Neil Cohen Productions, NCP, and Neil's actually, I think, a real estate agent now. So,
wow.
And Bobby Morgenstein, and I think he actually is still in the business. And a bunch of companies. So I reached out to all of them. Said, I see you're advertising, your party services. I'm interested in a job. Are you guys hiring? And I called, 10 or 15 people. I was 12 years old.
I was 12 years old.
I was 12 years old. I called them. A couple of them called me back, but one guy called me back, Neil Cohen, NCP Productions, Neil Cohen Productions.
Wow.
And he called me back and he said, yeah, sure, we're happy to talk. So I met with him. Met him in I forget where we were, like Newtown or somewhere, in like a storage facility where he had Technique 1200 turntables set up in this garage, and we met, and he hired me. I was 12 years old. I started off as like a junior DJ, and first started off on these Technique 1200s. And wow. I was 12 years old, and I was DJing bar and bat mitzvahs and weddings and stuff. And I was like, everybody was my age at the party. Had the cummerbund, and the dress shirt with no collar, but the little button right here, the cover, the button cover. That was the outfit.
Oh my!
And then the hair flipped over.
Now, did you do that with Jake?
No, so Jake did it also at the same time, but he worked for a different company, and I worked for. We both did it, but we both worked for different companies. So anyway, so from the time I was 12 to the time I was 18, pretty much every single weekend I was DJing. My parents used to have to drive me to the parties and pick me up at like midnight to take me home from these parties.
Was this the first, in a sense, entrepreneurial work-related venture that you did? Or was there a lemonade stand at 6?
I'm sure there was lemonade stands and that type of stuff from a younger age. I'm sure you probably interview my parents. They'll probably tell you some better stories. But that was like the first serious job that I was working with. I got paid, a paycheck, and I pretty much worked every weekend. And once I got my driver's license, I would drive myself to these parties. And we did that till we were 18 years old. Jake and I both did it separately. Wow. And then when we got to college, we went to Penn State. First week that we were at Penn State, we were both DJs. We're like we love DJing. We're like, and we were both actually good at that time. And we said, let's start a company. So we said, all right, let's start a company. How much money do you have? How much money do you have? All right, so we pooled our money together. We pulled together like $2,500. We were freshmen in college, and we went to. Jake will always say that I'm very impulsive because I am. I said, hey, let's start a company. Great, let's put the money together. Good, let's go buy equipment. He's like, wait, we need a plan. We need to figure out what we're going to do. No, let's just go buy equipment. We'll figure it out. So we went to Pat's Music in, I think it was on Market Street. It might still be there. I don't even know. But we bought DJ equipment. We bought these huge speakers, which I still have to this day. And I bought these, we bought equipment, which I actually still have. I still use it. I set up in my basement now. I teach my kids how to do it.
That's awesome.
And, I had a huge CD collection because every week I would go to Tower Records on the Boulevard, and I would buy CDs. I would buy singles. We'd buy singles. And so we could play music at these parties. So I had a huge CD collection. Those boxes of CDs were so heavy. I mean, so heavy. I hated carrying the equipment because it was so darn heavy. And we said, all right, let's start a company. Great. So we bought equipment. We had this stuff piled up in our dorm room. We were college roommates at Penn State.
Wow.
And the first thing we did is I said, all right, I'm going to get the list of all the social chairs from all the fraternities and sororities, and I'm going to start calling them. And literally, I just picked up the phone and said, hey, I hear you guys are looking for a DJ for some parties that you have coming up. I'd love to do it for you. Oh, actually, yeah, we are. Thanks for calling. Can you DJ
like you
on
assume
the
the sale.
date? Yeah, exactly. And it said, okay, do you the following date? Great, yeah. I would. I'll put that on my calendar. What other dates can I put in my calendar as well? I'd like to get at least three dates in the calendar right now while I have you on the phone. So we would book 1 or 3 or 5 dates, and we were actually good DJs too. So people wanted to continue to hire us back, and we were DJing. At one point, we actually had built the company up to we were DJing 10 parties a weekend sometimes.
Wow,
we were DJing clubs and stuff, and it was fun. We enjoyed just being. We enjoyed what we did. I still hated carrying that equipment, and I hated when people used to spill beer on the equipment.
So we'll have to save those stories for another interview.
Weird stuff, man. People would come up in the middle of a hip hop or club dance party and ask for Pink Floyd or stuff. No.
And then they get angry.
Or people used to say, do you guys have any good music with you today? I'm like, no. They only paid for the basic package. We didn't bring any of the good music today. I'm sorry.
So you're 18, 19. So did you stop that as college is coming to an end? You're like, all right, we've lived this, on to the next.
It was fun. It was great. We would DJ these parties from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. And in college, that was fun. But once I got out of college, those hours just didn't work anymore. And DJing was fun. I still loved doing it.
Yeah.
And Jake and I did it for a few years after college, and he actually did it for longer than me in DC. But just the hours just didn't work for me anymore. And people still ask me now, hey, can you DJ a party for him? As long as you don't mind, my music collection stops in 2003. So as long as you don't want to hear any more recent music than that, then I'm cool with that. And it's funny, I still have people come up to me. They're like, I think you DJ'd my bar mitzvah or my bat mitzvah,
wow.
1990 something. I'm like, wow, I can't believe you remember that.
Well, so coming full circle to today, in 2019 at Keller Philly, music or social gathering seems to be a big piece of, or an integral component of how successful you guys have become in such a short period of time. So is that always been in the back of your mind? How can I incorporate my life, our lives outside of business into business?
I really like working. I enjoy working for different reasons that I'm sure we can talk about, but I also really enjoy my life outside of work. I find that I'm my happiest when I'm, exercising or playing sports or doing stuff with the family or just doing outdoorsy fun activities. And as I say, like, why can't we just have fun with the people at work and the people that we're working with during work hours or even after work hours with those people as well? Why does there have to be a total separation? Why does work have to be like this serious thing and then we're like totally different people outside of work? Like when we come to work, we dress up in like really fancy outfits and we act like, like robots and we're like one way and then we're like a totally different person outside. Why do we have to be like that? Why can't we create an environment where people can be themselves, whether they're in work or outside of work, and they're the same people in work and outside of work? So when we created this place, I wanted to really try to have an environment that I was never really a suit guy. I never really liked putting on a tie or a suit or I wanted like, sometimes I wanted to be able to dress with what I wanted to dress with. So when we created this office, one of the things I wanted to do was create an environment where people could be themselves and dress how they wanted to dress and not have to like be fake, right? So that was a big thing.
Wow.
And part of that was so that was one aspect of it. The other aspect of it was around collaboration. We wanted to create a place where people can have their highest and best work-life balance. And work-life balance was a big thing of it. And we wanted to create a place where people can collaborate. So I know you can't see it in the video, but when we designed this office, it's different than any other real estate office that you've ever seen. It's a fun environment. There's a lot of open space. The coffee machines in one place, the printers and bathrooms are strategically in another place. The conference rooms and training rooms are strategically where they are. You wouldn't know this unless I told you. But the reason they're like that is because no matter where you go in this office, you have to cross paths with somebody else. And when you cross paths with somebody else, naturally you have a conversation. You're not just going to walk by somebody like 5 times a day and like, not even look at them as somebody you're working with. So you're going to walk by other people. You're going to collaborate with them. You're going to talk to them. Relationships are going to get formed. When relationships get formed, people are happier. People feel more appreciated when they're happier. When they're happier and they feel more appreciated, they never want to go anywhere. And they form these friendships that they can have outside of work. And they, now that they're talking to one another, they are now maybe putting deals together that they maybe wouldn't have been able to do before. So now people are doing more business and they're doing more business. So they're happier again. And again, circle back happier means they feel more valued. So that's one aspect of what we did with the office.
So
here.
in a sense, the architecture, it compels people to just be people.
We wanted to create, exactly. We wanted people to be themselves. But being themselves means that we had to attract the people that we wanted to be themselves. Because just because somebody's themselves doesn't mean that we want them here, right? Because some people...
Creating a system to attract...
Some people's...
we don't all get along.
Some people being themselves are like, okay, thank you for showing your true colors. Like, no, thank you. We don't want that. So we were looking to attract a certain type of person, a person that wanted to collaborate and share information. It's funny, like the real estate industry... The way that it was always, a lot of people perceive it inside the business, like real estate agents, the way they perceived it is that, hey, you're a real estate agent, I'm a real estate agent. Either we're at the same company or different companies, so we're competitors because we're competing for the same listing or the same buyer. Well, I can't tell you how many times there's a couple people that I do compete with, if you will, regularly, meaning like we go on the same listing appointments, but that's like a fraction of the time that I go on appointments. So I said, well, I don't look at you as a competitor, meaning like we're not competing for the same stuff, but more often than not, we're doing deals together. I represent the listing, you bring the buyer, or you represent the listing, I bring the buyer. So we're working together, right? We're working together to try to get this deal closed. So we're not competitors, we're colleagues. So why don't we start treating each other like colleagues and helping each other out? And instead of protecting what we do and not wanting to share what we do because we're afraid that you're going to take what I do and do it better than me and take all my clients. Why don't we just share what we do so that you can become a better real estate agent and a better person, and I can become a better real estate agent and a person, and now we can make the industry better and we can do more deals together, and the deals that we do together will be smoother and better for our clients, and we can provide a better experience for our clients, and we can be happier because we're having better deals. And so we said, like, let's just create an environment where people want that, right? And let's attract people that want what I just described. Maybe that was a different concept to people back when I first opened this brokerage up a couple of years ago, but it made sense to people.
Did you believe that in 2008 when you started as your first week? Is it a collaborative thought process?
I always believed that I was willing to share everything that I did because of two things. Number one, I was always happy to share what I did because I wanted to help everybody else out. But also it was funny, like I would teach people what I did and I knew that nobody was going to do it. So I wasn't like afraid that somebody was going to just take what I did and then I was, obsolete.
Like you weren't attached to the outcome of whether they use it or not. You were just going to do it.
I wasn't attached to the outcome and I wasn't I wasn't thinking in terms of scarcity mentality. I was thinking more of abundance mentality.
Because the reason I say that is because you're the rookie of the year 2009, youngest ever, or I don't know if the youngest ever, but the most units ever done as rookie of the year in Coldwell Banker. In 2010, you got the 5-star award with Philadelphia Magazine. You started Philly Living, and then 11 or 10, 11, 12, 13, top 250 teams in America, Wall Street Journal. Like these are serious numbers, 100 million, 200 million in sales. It's a lot of people that are helped. I could talk all day long, the accolades, but all those, I see it every day in work that we do at Culture Matters. The results come from the behaviors of the individuals that start the idea. So that competition versus collaboration, I see it when I interviewed Mike. He's a collaborative guy.
Yeah, he is.
And look at what he's done.
Yeah, he's
with its one team is more than most companies.
Yep.
So that's like, is that the mentality?
Very similar. There's a lot of similarities between me and Mike. Did you see both of our trophy cases in our offices?
No.
That's
That's
because they don't exist.
Yeah,
so all those awards that you talked about, I don't care about that stuff. I really don't care. Like, it's nice. It's great. I don't want to come in last place. I still want to finish in first. But that's not the reason why we do this. I don't care about the awards or the accolades or any of that stuff because it means nothing.
Why do you say that?
It means nothing.
What does mean to you? Like, what drives you?
I like creating opportunities for other people. So a lot of the stuff that I do is about creating opportunity for other people. So, I need to make my world big enough that other people, other talented people with big ideas can fit inside of my world and thrive in my world and benefit from what I can provide to them and vice versa. And I always, that's probably the main thing that drives me.
See, like almost like a responsibility. Like if you don't grow to a certain extent, that person that potentially could have an opportunity with you can't because there's no way to help them.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
I don't know what drives me. I guess I'm just a driven person. I enjoy what I do. I try to manufacture reasons to be happy, right? So when people ask me, last year when I put together my goals, people say, "Well, what are your goals for the year?" And I bet you interview a lot of people, and most people's goals are, "I want to do this much business. I want to do this much volume. I want," that's people's typical answer. My goals for this year almost had zero to do. Well, I shouldn't say it had zero to do with that, but they weren't about that. It was how do I create memorable experiences for me, my family, my friends together. So my goals for the year, the last 2 years were every month I want to put something on my calendar that's going to be a memorable experience, something that I'm going to be happy and enjoyable with. So some of it was me doing stuff by myself that was fun. Some of it was me, family, traveling with my family. Some of it was me and my friends traveling. And I know that everybody's busy and people can't always, take the time to plan these activities. So I said, you know what, if I want to do these things and I know how much enjoyment I get out of doing these things, I'll just take the lead and I'll just plan these things. So it might be a trip here. It might be going to a football game here. It might be a dinner with, friends here, whatever it is. I didn't want to just sit back and look back, and say, oh, we haven't gotten together in 6 months. I wanted to be the one to go ahead and do that. And that was my goal, is just create memorable experiences with my family and friends this year. And then when I did that, I'm happier. And when I'm happier, I work better, right? Because, when you have a bad day on your way to work, somebody cuts you off, and you're pissed off the rest of the day, or you have a bad phone call with a client, it messes your whole day up. Or you had, something bad with family happen, it messes you up. So if I just continue to manufacture reasons to be happy and excited, well, the business stuff kind of translates.
I love that. Anyway, sorry. I just love that. Manufacture reasons to be happy. I believe happiness, the pursuit of it, this personal development industry as a whole, like the pursuit of happiness is a myth because it's fleeting. We're creating reasons for meaning. We're creating it.
Yeah.
Like it's genius. Manufacturing, you're creating an environment where people can come together. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Nobody's going to come to your house and make your dreams come true. You got to make it happen yourself. It's a life by design, right? And that's not just a saying. Like you actually have to design the life that you want. You have dreams, great. Make them happen. Figure out how to get from point A to point B. You know, it's funny. I remember years ago, I had a guy that interviewed with me. He wanted to join the real estate team. I forget what the position was. It didn't matter. But, through asking him a series of questions, like his goals, I remember interviewing this guy. And we really dove deep on him. And like his passion in life and what he wanted to do in his life was to work at Disney. And like so passionate about it, like Disney watch. This is like a grown man too. Disney watch, like Disney t-shirt, Mickey Mouse t-shirt. Like he was passionate about Disney World to the point where he was like crying, talking about it. And I'm like, listen, man, like working as like, I don't even know what the position was. A marketing person for Philly Living real estate company is not a direct path to Disney World. If that's your passion, go apply for a job at Disney World. Like this is not going to get you there. Like don't wait for something to happen to get you there. It's a life by design. You have to go in the direction that you want to go to. If you're just doing this as a means to an end, so that at some point in your life you can do what you really want to do, you're wasting your time. You know, the fun part is the journey.
Wow.
The journey is the fun part.
So in a sense, when you were interviewing him, you're asking questions to see, is this person even properly fitting? It's like the opposite of when you started. You did a whole PowerPoint thinking that you had to apply for the opportunity to be a real estate agent, and you were surprised because they probably were just just come in, just try it. But in a sense, it's the opposite here. You're like vetting. Is this a good fit? Is this a good fit?
We need to know if it's a good fit because we spend a lot of time hiring people because we want to make sure that we always say like, welcome to your first day at your last job. Because we really want this to be people's last job. You know, we spend a lot of time interviewing people and making sure that this is the right environment and the right fit for them and that we can help them out on their career path to get them to where they want to be. And also we want to make sure that they're right for us as well, because we don't want to get in a relationship with somebody just to realize a month later that they're not the right fit. Because, you know, at an interview, people bring their representative to the interview. You know? They bring the representative. They bring the person.
What do you mean by that? Yeah,
they bring the person that they want you to believe that they are to the interview. You don't want to find out through one interview and then that person's not really who you thought they were. So that's why you have to meet people a series of times to make sure that representative, if you will.
Yeah, what's your process? You know, people listening and watching at home, I'm sure they'd love to understand how you hire. What would you say that is? There's a certain amount of times that you meet with people. How do you gauge that?
Depends on what the position is.
Okay.
Right. So step one is identify what my needs are. Let's say I want to bring on a new CEO to a new company that I created. Right. So I said, all right, rather than putting an ad in the paper and waiting for people to come to me, I said, all right, who would be the perfect what does this business need? Or, what does this particular business need? What would the skill set of that person have that would achieve the goals of this business, whether it was growth or whether it was, I don't know, whatever it is, right? Or creating a certain culture. And then I say, all right, think in my head, who are all the people that I know throughout my life that would be perfect for this position? It doesn't matter what the industry is. When I started this brokerage, I went through that process because I wanted to hire a CEO for this brokerage to run it day to day. And I said, who are all the people that I know that are like high level people that can take this brokerage to the level that I wanted to take it to? And the person that we ended up bringing in as our CEO, Brian Walters, he was not in real estate per se. It sort of was, but not really full-time in real estate when he was brought on. Was not a real estate agent. Didn't get him from another real estate company. And people at the time thought like, why are you bringing in somebody with no real estate experience? Why are you bringing somebody that hasn't done this job before? But I knew what he had and the skill set that he had, and I knew where we wanted to take the company, even if nobody else saw where we wanted to take it. And I knew he was a perfect person for it. And he believed in the vision that we talked about between me and him, and I believed in what his capabilities were, and we were aligned in that regard. And it was literally, I talked to one person and I brought him in. So you don't have to. Sometimes you have to talk to 100 people to get to one person, and sometimes you have to think like roll in your head the 100 people. No. Yes, this person would be good. And all right, I narrow it down to a list of 5 people in my head of who would be perfect. All right, I'm going to start with this person. And if they won't accept the job, then I go to the next person.
So similar to when you called those people in college that, you have a party coming up. You may be calling someone that's not even in the industry because of certain character traits that you're thinking that this would really align with me, with them, with the vision. And it doesn't hurt to ask. They may not be in a place in their career in another industry that they may make a switch.
It's about opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Timing was good in that particular instance. The greater opportunity was better. But you have to think about all the different. I forget where my train of thought was going on that, but
like the hiring process in general, people bring the representative to an interview.
Yep.
They say all the right things. They may even convince themselves that it's the right thing. I mean, I've been in places in my life where I was going to give up on one thing and decided, let me take the easy route. And I've been told, you got to go back to Disneyland. That was one of the best Disneyland conversations I ever had when I ended up not taking that job because someone saw in me, like, you got to focus on whatever it is that you're trying to do.
So sometimes, like, I keep circling back to resourcefulness
Yeah.
because that's a key component for me. I'm looking for people that are resourceful, somebody that can figure out the job. I'm not looking for somebody that in any job that I hire for, somebody that I need to literally have my thumb on them at all times, like do this, and nothing gets done unless I tell them that. I'm looking for somebody that has a lot of potential. Potential is a really important thing for me, and they can learn it. Any job can be learned, right? We all started off.
You believe that?
In any industry. I do believe that, yeah. Some jobs take longer than others to learn. Like I couldn't just say I want to be a doctor and then tomorrow I'm a doctor, right? Like I can learn to be a doctor, but it would take me many years potentially to do that. But I believe any job can be learned if you have the right desire to learn, if you have the right ability and you're sort of resourceful and be able to figure it out. So when we started this with Jake, with Brian, even now with Jeremy, it was like, hey, here's what we're looking to do. Here's the big picture of what we're looking to do. Go do it, right?
Wow.
It wasn't quite like that, but it was go do it. It wasn't like, hey, I'm going to hire you on, and this is exactly what you're going to be doing every day, and this is your schedule, and this is what time you have to get in, and this is, if I have to hire somebody that I have to, it's 9:04, you're supposed to be here at 9, that's not going to work.
So you're focused on seeing if their character fits, if the vision of their personal life aligns with the vision of the organization. You're actually going to say no to someone rather saying yes, even if it makes sense in the short term. As a long term, that's what you're looking for, and then you're creating an environment that mirrors that balanced life environment that brings you together with your personal family, in the sense mirroring that in the company, where people through like the literal architecture of the business makes it so that people bump into each other. They can create relationships, and this is not like you're going to you're coming to work and act. You're going to bring your representative that you brought to the interview, and then.
But what's interesting about this, and I'm kind of through social experiments that I've sort of run in my head of concepts. It's interesting because when I say representative, like you bring your representative to the interview, you talk about all these great things you're going to do and all these great things that you've done in your previous life based upon the situation that you were in. Maybe you were the president of your whatever club, or maybe you were the head of whatever. Like, so during an interview, I realized that this person has a lot of potential. They've done some great things, and I believe they can do some great things, and they want to do some great things. Then they get into the real estate industry, maybe as a real estate agent, and they are not making any money the first month or maybe the first couple months. And they start to lose their confidence, that confidence that they had when they came into the interview. Because now they're in a setting where they're essentially, for lack of better terms, low man on the totem pole or low girl on the totem pole. Is that how you say it? Low man on the totem pole. You know what I mean? And you come into this environment and nobody's looking up to you anymore because, I don't know, you're not selling any real estate. So I'm not like coming to you asking you for real estate advice. So because nobody's coming to you and asking you for that, you don't feel validated and you don't have that confidence that maybe you had in a previous job or a previous position or whatever that might have been. And because of that, you lose your confidence. And when you lose your confidence, you're not confident when you're meeting with clients. And because you're not confident when you're meeting with clients, you're not getting the business. And because you're not getting the business, your confidence is going down and down and down, and you get out of the business. So I said, well, that's crazy, because some of these people I see come in and out of the business really could be successful if they were put in an environment that would allow them to succeed. So I said, all right, well, I can't just manufacture all of a sudden you're brand new to the real estate industry. I can't like just say, hey, Jay sold $100 million worth of real estate agent. He's here, because you can make that story up and all of a sudden people flock to you because they want to know, how did you sell $1 million worth of real estate? But I can't just make up a story like that. You have to have done it. So I've manufactured other reasons that people can look up to you. So this is the sort of the social experiment that I put together. So in our office, part of the culture is we do things outside of the office to put people in a more comfortable environment where they can be the leader, where people look up to them. So some simple examples are, we have a Tuesday basketball game. Every Tuesday night, people from the office come out and we play basketball at Fieldhouse at 9th and Spring Garden. And there are people that you maybe wouldn't have talked to in the office, because you would have maybe had no reason to talk to them and ask them about real estate stuff. And because, whatever, maybe you just don't see them. But now this person that's never sold a house is the best person on the basketball court. And now me in the general sense, I'm somebody that I sell a lot of houses, but maybe I'm like an average basketball player, and you're an amazing basketball player. So I'm like, man, you're an awesome basketball player. You got to teach me everything that you know about basketball. And now I'm coming to you to learn about basketball. You're teaching me. So now you're confident. And, now I have a reason to reach out to you. And now when we're back in the office again on Monday or Wednesday, I guess in this example, now we've had this relationship, because now I didn't know who you were before, but now I know who you are because I see you on the basketball court. And now we have this relationship that had nothing to do with real estate, but we formed a relationship outside of real estate. So now we're friends, we're friendly in the office, and now an opportunity comes up and I want to give it to you, or maybe now I want to help you out because I like you, because maybe you're going to help me on the basketball court, or maybe I just like you because we formed a bond. So now I want to help you become better in your real estate career. Or maybe you're more confident in the office now, because now all the other people in the office that maybe were the top real estate agents are now your friends. So now you feel more confident going and talking to them.
Maybe
right?
on your listing appointment.
Maybe you ask them advice. Maybe you bring them on a listing appointment, whatever it might be. So now you have more confidence around the office to talk to people, to get more business. And now that confidence is translating into you doing more business, right? So that's like one example. Another example is we were going to be doing a talent show. And this is, I know people watching this, people watching this are going to be like, damn, that's what he was doing. But I put out something. This was a social experiment for me, really. And I put out something on our private Facebook group inside of our office and said, hey, we're going to be doing a talent show. Looking for people to sign up. And please feel free to nominate your friends in the office. And it was amazing how people nominated each other. They posted videos of themselves like playing the guitar, or them in a band, or them singing like great song. So there's so many talented people in this office, not just the office, but in this industry outside of real estate. Maybe they're the best musician or the best guitar player or the best singer or whatever. So outside of real estate, they're like a superstar. But inside real estate, they're like a turtle tucked away, and you don't get to see their true talent. So I'm trying to bring out people's talents outside of real estate to build their confidence up. So people were posting these videos of themselves playing the guitar or singing, and everybody's like, oh man, you're amazing at guitar, you're an amazing singer. And now I didn't know who you were before, but like, I want to, like, you're awesome, and I want to be around you because you're a talented person. And now again, you're forming these relationships, and now that person is more confident around the office, because now they're like, yeah, I'm feeling good. Like I'm a good singer. I'm a guitar player. Like people are hearing about this. And again, it creates opportunity. It builds confidence, and confidence, especially in this industry, translates to a lot more sales. So it was sort of a social experiment.
Did this start in your head?
Specifically? It started in my head, and I started testing it out and said, how do I manufacture reasons to make people happier, right? Because I talked about how I feel when I'm happier. When I'm happier doing the things that I love to do, I work better at work. So I said, all right, how do I manufacture all the things that other people like to do, whether it's sports or whether it's music or whether it's traveling or drinking, whatever it is, what makes people happy, and how do I bring that into the work environment to bring people together, right? Because I need to bring people together to get them to collaborate, whether it's collaborating on real estate or collaborating just to form friendships so then it translates back into when they're in the office talking about real estate. How do I manufacture all those reasons to create the culture of our office, to build confidence, to get people to want to be here, to get people to do what I believe that they should be doing in the office? But a lot of times people can't do that because they're just feeling down or bad about themselves. They don't have a path of how to get there, or they're not resourceful enough to go and talk to the top agent in the office to ask them for help, even though that top agent in the office will be happy to share what they're doing, right? You asked me the question earlier, well, how did I get in front of this person or that person? Well, I just asked. Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that just by asking, people are willing to help and they want to help, but people are afraid to ask for the help.
So you're creating an environment through the architecture, through all the training, which we're going to talk about, through events that happen outside of the environment in different mediums to shut down fear, to make it easier for people to communicate with each other so they collaborate more and competition. Well, it's just to tell you, this is the first time I'm hearing about it. It's how long we got?
I'm good.
It's genius. It's genius. You just taught me something that has to do with culture, because it creates alignment. Yes. Because when someone could be the best thing since sliced bread at some other company, let's say another industry, and you see all their potential in them, they come into this industry, but it isn't their confidence wouldn't be naturally there because their competence in those specific tacit skill sets is not yet there. They're walking in here like a different person. Their head is down. There is like a shield around them and a shield around other people. But you take that person, and they may not be built like you, just at 12 years old, calling freaking DJ places. Yeah. But you take that individual and put them in another environment, a medium. The medium is the message. Yeah. And it lowers that fight or flight, and they can bond over something else. And then when they're in the office, they're communicating at a different level where then the mentor can be the mentor of the mentee because someone broke the ice. And it's absolutely genius because it's centered around Maslow's hierarchy of needs, love and belonging. It increases the potential for love and belonging because they have the confidence to have the conversation. Then they learn from each other. Now they go into the office, and you guys especially do so much training. I see it. I know I'm doing something in the next couple of weeks. So much training. You have speakers coming in. You have trainers coming in constantly. When those people, the one that was walking around that never talked to the other person, that met at that like little community event out of the office, when they go to the training and they actually learn what to do, now they're calling their mentor, the McCann or you or whoever that they met playing basketball. Now they're calling them at the listing appointment, and they're actually collaborating and winning. Exactly. Because you have the competence, and people are going to actualize through the. Tell me if I'm on the right track.
And what they didn't realize all along is that mentor would have helped them out if they had just asked the whole time. But they never had the confidence to ask. They've never been in the right scenario to ask.
But the company, this is what you're doing amazing. The company has to create the environment. You're doing it through the architecture. I'll give you an example. The WeWork, I'll call them out because I don't go this one anymore because of this reason. There's a WeWork in Center City that has the eating at the bottom floor and the working at the top. And culturally, you're creating an environment where now they're going to eat downstairs, great. And then they go upstairs and it's like, the eating has to be around the work or else people never have those conversations. Yep. Because 90% of the people that just bring their lunch and they just go upstairs, they never go to that little food room, and it's an awkward little room you can't really talk in. So like they're missing out, and that definitely affects their turnover and their profitability. And you're doing the exact opposite. And what's the coincidence?
There's no coincidence.
You've been number one for that reason.
We talk a lot about the market center of the future, right? The brokerage of the future, right? Because all the technology coming out, a lot of people are talking about, well, people aren't going to want to come to real estate offices anymore. They don't need that because they see these other offices that are, not vibrant, not lively, and people don't want to come, not because of the technology, but because of the environment. But they translate to people aren't coming to the office because there's no reason to come because they can do everything virtually now. I'll tell you, even if my entire world was virtual, I still want to come to the office. I can't work out of my house, but what do people do? They work at Starbucks. They work in Philadelphia, La Colombe.
For the same reason.
Because they like the environment. Yeah. So I said, well, if people want to work at Starbucks or La Colombe or environments like that or WeWork, why can't I just create this office with that same vibe, with that same environment and get people to come here? And now instead of being in call it a WeWorks setting where you're collaborating, but all industries or Starbucks where it's like that, let's create that same environment with all people in the same industry. And that's sort of the concept of what we did. My original design for this place, which got shot down, I'm still disappointed it got shot down. But I had like a full bar downstairs with like a front countertop bar. I was gonna bring in like a cappuccino, like someone to make like cappuccinos and like nice coffee drinks every morning for a couple hours and make smoothies in the office for a couple hours. Again, I was trying to manufacture reasons for people to come to the office because I had always heard, well, nobody comes to the office anymore. And I said, that's crazy because I like coming to the office. I need to come to the office. I can't work out of my house and I can't work out of like a Starbucks. So I need to have an environment. So if I feel this way, there's got to be other people out there. So how do we create an environment that's inviting and people want to come to? And how do we manufacture reasons for people to actually come to the office?
Well, and who's to say, and this is without a case study to present, but who's to say that, it's that 5%, that 7% of realtors that end up doing the majority of the business, that the individuals that are new to the business, because 90% aren't in the business within the first 2 years, but the ones that are newer to the business that survive and they make it, that make up that 80%, that flock to those most successful. So, but why don't they communicate? Maybe because they're afraid. Maybe because of that competition ethos in the industry. Maybe if you could create a collaborative ethos in the industry where the 5%, 10% come to a place because they actually want to be in a place, because structure is actually kind of definitely proven why they're dang successful. That is proven. I tell you, after interviewing so many owners, dozens and dozens and dozens, I see that pattern of like they pretty much all would want to go to the office. But if they all go to the office and no one talks to each other, then the mentee can't meet the mentor and the mentor can't give to the mentee and the mentor won't be fulfilled as they could if they gave to the mentee. So by you creating this architecture that forces people in a positive way to communicate and having events out of the office to communicate and training, like how many trainings do you guys do in a month? Like
sometimes too many.
7,000, amazing.
We used to have 30 training classes a month, and then a couple months we had 60. And I thought that was too many, but I think 30 is like a good number, 30 classes a month. And
so you can learn every day if you're.
Yes, and the cool thing is so we have 30 different training classes, 30 plus training classes a month. And it's not, that sounds overwhelming to people, but I don't expect people to come to all 30, although we do have people that come to all of them. They're my professional learners.
Yeah.
But there's different paths for different people. Hey, you want to learn about how to work with buyers? You want to work with sellers? You want to learn how to be a new agent. You want to learn how to be wealth building, business level classes, investment classes, how to work with builders, mindset type things. We have every day, I think at 2:00, they do meditation and they do yoga. There's like different things that happen here because that's life, right? We want people to like learn about life, and you choose the path that you want to choose. And there's great teachers. And again, people that want to give back. We rarely pay for instructors to come in. It's people that want to give back and share their knowledge. So we're providing a platform to be able for people to share their knowledge, and we're providing a platform for people who thrive on that knowledge. Like I've always been big on training and education. Actually, that was one of the reasons why I joined Coldwell Banker in the first place, and it was also the reason why I switched over to Keller Williams, because the training and education is just amazing over here. Because there's people that want to learn, they thrive on that environment. And for me, it's about creating value for people. So I know that in order to have the most professional and the best real estate agents in the area, I need to provide that platform for them. I need to provide that training for them, and high-level training too. So once a month, my goal is to bring in a high-level speaker from around the country.
Wow.
Some of them are from Philadelphia. We have a lot of great speakers in Philadelphia and very accomplished, successful people. And some of them, we bring in from outside of Philadelphia. We had, some of the top real estate agents in the country that have come to speak at our office, just to give back. And I go to their office as well. And it's not all about real estate. Some of it's about mindset stuff. We're going to be bringing in, some of the coaches of the Eagles to talk about just that level. Because just the preparation and the practice and the teamwork, all the stuff that we do is around business. It's around teamwork or team mindset. And how we translate it into our particular business, whether it's real estate or selling widgets or whatever it might be, it's really all the same stuff. If you have the right mindset, if you understand business, if you understand how the psychology of people work, and if you understand how teams work and how people formulate and work together, and also if you understand the psychology of clients as well, so sort of translating it to your clients. And it's not just about the house. How many bedrooms do you want? How many bathrooms do you want? It's about all the other stuff. What's important in your life? Where do you shop? What neighborhoods do you go into? Where do you go with your kids? Where do you walk your dogs? Where do you go to your religious places? You know, it's about all those other things. Real estate just happens to be the byproduct of that. Nobody goes to Home Depot because they want a drill bit. They go to Home Depot to buy a drill bit because they want a hole, right? The drill bit is just the path that you need to get there to get that hole.
Grant.
Yeah, is he the one that said that?
Yeah,
I heard like 10 people say it.
Wow. Leonardo da Vinci said, "Good artists copy, great artists steal."
Yeah.
So we're all.
If I can't attribute who I remember the quote from, I just say that I created
Well,
it.
it's yours.
I
We got it.
I just made it up myself.
After this interview, it's yours.
Yes.
We're gonna cut me out.
There we go.
So, resiliency and doing things before thinking it fully through has got you in the beginning of the business extremely successful. But there was a point where you did so much on your own that you needed an assistant. Now this is where I'm going with it. You know, to go from doing it yourself, doing a high amount of units yourself as a realtor in the mid 2009 range, to then hiring an admin, that's a big growth for a lot of people. Yeah. But then to go 9 years later to have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that depend on you to grow. Yeah. Well, I want to go back to that first paradigm shift though, from realtor to realtor with an admin. Yeah. What was that like, and how did you overcome it? Was it difficult? Was it not?
Well, you phrase it as realtor with an admin. I phrase it as business person with leverage, because it's really the same thing. I mean, like, you're translating this, because assuming the real estate people that are listening to this, you're translating to what it's like going from an individual agent to hiring your first admin. But this is really just a business concept. How do you focus on your highest and best use, your highest dollar producing activity, and hire out for the rest of the stuff? Because as a real estate agent, so we'll use a real estate example. As a real estate agent, we need to be good at so many different things. We need to be good at working with buyers. We need to be good at working with sellers and making listing presentations. We need to be good at administrative paperwork. We need to be good at marketing, which includes social media and AdWord campaigns and graphic design. We need to be good at transaction management and paperwork. We need to be good at follow-up and working databases. We need to be good at web design and SEO. And I can name so many different aspects that we need to be good at as a real estate agent, because these are all the things that we need to do to have the business that we want to have. Now, even if you were good, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, you in the general term, that you're good at all of these different things. Even if you're good at all these things, there's no possible way that you have enough time to give each of these tasks the proper amount of attention for your client and for you to run your business to do that. So I could be the best marketing person in the world, and you could be a good marketing person. And if I'm spending 20 minutes a day doing marketing and you're spending 8 hours a day doing marketing, you're going to blow me out of the water every single time, because you're focused on it, you're spending all your time on it, and I'm just trickling it in here and there. So when you talk about hiring an assistant or a marketing person or whatever it's going to be, it's about doing, for me, it was about doing what my highest and best use was, highest dollar producing activity, and doing what I like to do and not doing the things I don't like to do, right? Wow. So it was like a combination.
Was it hard to let go?
Yeah, it was. Because originally I remember at the time, my manager at the time told me I needed to hire my first assistant. I had 10 listings at the time, which to me seemed like an overwhelming amount of listings. They said, you got to hire an assistant. You have to hire. I'm like, I'm not going to hire an assistant. I can do all this stuff myself. And then I started thinking about it in terms of, to me, math solves all problems. So I put it together in a math formula, and I still use this example today. If I was spending 2 hours a day on administrative work, 5 days a week, so 10 hours a week on administrative work, 52 weeks a year, so 520 hours a year on administrative work. Let's say an average work week is 40 hours, right? Yeah. I'm sure we work more than 40 hours. Let's just say that's average. That's 13 full weeks a year, or 3 to 4 months a year that I'm spending doing strictly administrative work. So that's 3 to 4 full months a year that I'm not out selling houses. So if I'm selling 2 houses a month, 3 houses a month, 10 houses a month, whatever, plug in whatever number you want, and I'm missing 3 to 4 months out of my year, if I have to go and spend $40,000, $50,000, whatever it is to hire somebody, I'm pretty sure that selling houses could yield more money if I had 3 more months of the year. If I'm working if my year had 15 months in it and yours had 12 months in it, presumably I would probably, if we were like equal level on real estate, I would probably sell more houses than you. I would just have more time than you. So it was about concept of leverage, right? It was about me focusing more on sales and less on the stuff that I could hire for. Not that I wasn't good at paperwork. I just didn't like doing paperwork. So I hired for that. Not that I wasn't good at marketing, but there's people out there that definitely were better than me at it.
Did you do so? Let's say someone hires that person. Then you could see, what if they don't do anything with that 3 months, and then they start losing money? Do you see that often, or
so you don't? So a lot of people look at it as like, all right, I'm going to spend $40,000 or $50,000 on this position. And they say, well, I can't afford $50,000. What if it doesn't work out, like you just asked? Well, you look at it in a 3-month block, right? So the most you lose on that person is whatever the equivalent of 3 months worth of salary is, not the whole year's worth of salary. And then you can.
Do you see often that people they'll bring on that position, but that they don't use that extra time to prospect?
Yeah, many times. So it's funny because a couple years ago on our team, the agents were doing their own paperwork, right? They wrote their own contracts up and they did a lot of their own paperwork. And the same concept. I said, what if I brought somebody onto the team that could do the paperwork for them, give the agents the 2 hours a day back in their day from the administrative stuff, so they could go out and do more lead generation and business development and make more calls, make more sales. It would be a great investment for me. But of course, what I found was not everybody took advantage of that time. Some people certainly did, and some people just didn't work. They worked 2 hours less. And that was okay too, because sometimes it gave people 2 hours back in their day for their personal lives. Because work-life balance for me is very important.
But you didn't decide to do that. You brought on the extra help, and then you went full steam ahead.
Well, it's funny because in a business setting like real estate, people look at that like it's a weird concept. But, when's the last time you went to your doctor and your doctor scheduled the appointment with you, did the paperwork, filed the insurance stuff, did all the stuff behind the scenes? Doctors don't do that. They haven't done it for years. And it's just like a normal concept. There's specialists for different aspects of the job, because it wouldn't be a doctor's highest and best use to be spending the majority of their time doing like insurance paperwork and whatever. So it's not like a new concept.
The one thing. So I'm hearing some of the great literature in one thing, the millionaire real estate agent. Now, but the business leverage. Now, were you thinking like that prior to coming over to Keller, and then it refined the language a bit, or there's a bit of a mix? I want to talk about coaching. I want to talk about mentorship. I want to talk about books. You're an avid reader.
I always had a lot of ideas. When I remember every day, every couple of days in college, I would call my dad, who's a business guy, and I would say, hey, I have a great idea for a business in college. Like by the time it was junior year of college, I was like ready to get out and start business. And I remember I used to call him with all these ideas. And I came up with this great idea in college that I swore was going to be the $1 billion idea. Like everybody needed this thing. I don't know if I should say it because nobody's actually invented it now.
Oh, well, then don't. Yeah.
Maybe I should.
All right, let's hear it. You're not going to do it.
So this is back. Yeah, I'm not going to do it. But this was back in college. This is probably, I was a junior in college. And this is before iPhones came out. This is before any of that stuff. We had Palm Pilots. That was like the high tech handheld device back then. And I remember walking into these big stores, these Targets, these Walmarts, Wegmans, whatever, like these huge stores were, Home Depots, and nobody was there to like guide me and tell me where to find the ketchup. Or I didn't know where the ketchup was. This is ridiculous. I'm like walking up and down. It's so inefficient. I'm walking around for 10 minutes trying to find which aisle the ketchup's in. I said, what if I created a device? There's essentially like a navigation system that you put on the shopping cart, and we were going to use Palm Pilots. And you put them on the shopping cart and have a navigation. So I type in ketchup, and it says, all right, in 300 feet, turn left, turn right, and it gets you to the ketchup, right? And how do you, it would be expensive, right? So how do you get the supermarkets or the stores to buy it? Well, you sell advertisements, right? On the things, pop-up will come up, 50 cents off of your bottle of ketchup, and you get the advertisers to pay for that. I'm like, this is a great idea. Because think about it like this, because now instead of all those people that work at those supermarkets that you need just basically just walk around in the aisle. I don't know if they have them anymore, but back then there was just people that were just like helping you find the ketchup, right? Not that many of them, but you could save, 5 employees and get these. So that's how it was going to pay for itself. I'm like, this is the best idea. Everybody's going to want this. Well, then a handful of years later, Palm Pilots went out, the iPhones came in, and now this could probably be a free app.
Yeah. So. Well, it's intriguing to me is that in school, you're already thinking like this.
Yeah.
And then, so when you got your real estate license, you weren't looking at it as you're going to it's about me just selling houses.
It was about opportunity. I got into real estate because real estate was the industry where the most opportunity was when I got out of college. That was the hot industry. 2003 timeframe, real estate market was booming. It was looking good. And that was the industry to be in. So I said, all right, well, if that's where the opportunity is, that's where the money is, that's where I'm going to go.
Now, a lot of people quit and never look back after the bust happened. Why did you continue to stay with it?
I remember when I got in the business in 2008, what I was taught at the time was about business development, was about lead generation, was about getting on the phones and calling people and prospecting for business, was going and knocking on doors, was, getting in front of people. And I had good years during 2008, 9, and 10 as I was coming up. And I remember saying, like, if this is a bad market, I can't wait till the good market. And what I found through that downturn and what I'm starting to, teach people, not starting, but what I've always taught people since that time is, as long as you're doing the right things, as long as you're focusing on business development and growth and lead generation every day, the basics, and doing the right things for your client, when the market does turn, you're going to have more market share because you're doing the right things. And sellers, instead of just listing with their family, who they could put the property on the MLS and it sells, now they're going to be looking for whoever's going to give them the best shot at selling their house, whoever's doing the right things, whoever's doing the marketing, whoever's doing the more aggressive.
And having that market share pulls them in.
Right. And so when the market turns, all those people that are selling a couple houses a year get out of the business because they can't survive because they were never doing the right things to start. The market sort of hid their, I don't want to say lack of talents, but lack of efforts probably. The market conditions hid that. And the people that have been doing the right things all along actually take more market share when the market turns. So, when you asked me the question back then, I feel like I learned the right way early on of how to do it. And that's just sort of just stuck with that. I stuck with what works. I don't always, I do like to try different things, but.
Well, like the social experiment.
Yeah.
That seems to be working really well.
Yep.
What are two big things that people watching and listening to this in the real estate community especially need to know about what's going on at Keller Williams Philly?
So what's going on at Keller
Yeah,
Williams?
Why do they need to work here? Why should they be a part of this? Or why should they collaborate with you guys? Because you don't have that competitive worldview, I don't think.
It's the same thing. It's the same message, the same vision when we started the brokerage. We want to create an environment. We want to create a platform for agents and teams to be wildly successful, to have their best work-life balance, to have fun, to sell the most amount of houses, to be able to collaborate with other people, to have fun along the way while they're doing it, to be in a cool place that they can bring their clients to and be proud of, to learn from the best in the business, to have the most professional real estate agents, working side by side, people willing to share what they're doing. And again, I keep reiterating the fun aspect of it. Last night we had a ping pong tournament.
Yeah, I saw that.
There were some ringers out there. And it was a lot of fun. It was a great way to get people together, outside of work, to talk to each other. And some people talked about real estate and some people talked about life, and relationships were formed and relationships were strengthened. And of course, people had fun, so they were happier. And, listen, it's the same stuff I'm always talking about, and just creating an environment that people want to be in, a place where people want to work.
If we went back to the end of 2015, everything that you've learned in the last few years, building this very successful real estate company, and you had 2 minutes to talk to yourself, what is that conversation? It's right at the end of 2015.
Continue to surround yourself with successful people, whatever success means to you. Seek the people that you want to be around in your life. Stay around positivity and stay away from negativity. I don't watch the news for that exact reason, because all you see in the news is negativity. So I purposely stay away from watching the news. Even the sports news is becoming negative. That was my one thing. All right, I still got the sports news, but now that's all negative stuff too. So just trying to stay away from negative people, surrounding yourself with positive people, seeking out the people that I want to be around, and don't try to copy other people, because they may have different goals than you have. They may be playing a different game than you're playing. A lot of people will look at me and, maybe I don't know, maybe they're trying to compete with me to sell, as many houses, more houses than me. But they don't realize that that's not really the game that I'm playing. They don't understand my goals, what I'm trying to do, what my future looks like, and what game I'm really playing. Selling houses is one aspect of the game I'm playing. And having a brokerage and creating an environment opportunity is one aspect of the game I'm playing, and the investments and the development, and all that stuff is part of the bigger game that I'm playing. That's going to lead me to, it's really a game for the future, right? For the future for me is, once the kids are in college, doing more traveling, exploring the world, I don't want to be, I want to work because I want to work, not because I have to work, right? So, I'm creating an environment so in 10 years or whatever it is when the kids are in college, I can start to do more of the things that make me happy on an everyday basis, right? And, right now, maybe I'm spending 50% of the time doing things that make me happy and 50% of the time on other stuff. Not that it makes me happy or not, just on other stuff. So how do I turn that 50% to 60, 70, 80 to 100%? How do I, take 100% of my time and do it on things that make me happy all the time and not have to worry about all the other things? But that takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a process.
And creating, it seems like creating an environment where it's a balance on the way with this social experiment per se.
I'm not competing per se in life with everybody else. I'm not saying there's not like mental competitions along the way that I want to be the best. Of course, you always want to be the best. But that's not the end game for me. It's not the end game is not to be the starting game was, hey, let's get our brokerage to be the number one brokerage because of all the things that it can do. It wasn't like be the number one brokerage and that's the end game. It was be the number one brokerage so that X, Y, and Z could happen, right? For me and for other people and all that stuff. So we got to the number one brokerage fairly quickly, actually. It only took like less than 2 years to become number one. Okay, now what? Right? It was never about being number one. It was about getting to number one so that we could do all the other things. We could attract more people, so we could bring in more of the best people under one roof, so we can create more opportunity, more collaboration. People want to be around more successful people. So being number one allowed people to want to be a part of the number one brokerage. And by being a part of the number one brokerage, we attracted more successful, collaborative people, which again, built on the goal of what we were trying to do in the first place, to try to get every good agent that all shared the same vision as us under one roof. So building upon that.
Collaboration, begin with the end in mind, resiliency, bringing real life to work, and creating a culture that matters.
Culture matters. I remember the first time I met you, I didn't know who you were. You were a young guy back then. You still are pretty young. You were. Yep.
I don't think I shaved as much.
Yes. A little different hairstyle, and I think you were like 25 years old, maybe younger. And you came in, and I thought I was interviewing you to work for me. And I don't know what you thought, but you can. I got maybe one question in, and then you stood up and gave me a whole dissertation and like an amazing presentation. I'm like, I don't know what I just sat through, but this is awesome, and I want to hire this guy. And you basically told me that you wanted to make $100 million a year, and I said, I said, all right, well, let me think about it. I'll try to figure out if I can get you there. And I haven't figured it out yet, but I'm still thinking about it.
That was an epic. First time.
I'll never forget that interview. I don't know what that was. I'll never forget that first encounter.
First encounter, the third time. First encounter. I had my PowerPoint.
You did.
You
created a visual of a PowerPoint. I think you actually had one. That was when this office wasn't even renovated. We were sitting in like an unrenovated office.
Yeah.
That was a good time.
This was a blessing. It's many years in the making. And I definitely have to say that, Noah, your culture matters. You're a brilliant guy, and I appreciate our relationship on and off camera. And I can't wait for people to see this conversation.
I didn't see the red light. Did you put the camera on?
At one point, the camera died a couple times.
Was the camera on? Did we hit record? That was the driver.
Yeah,
right?
this was the warm-up.
Hit record.
So we have two more hours.
Now we'll do this for real.
Thank you for that.
Good time. It was awesome.